Hi, my name is Kaiser. I'm going to be discussing with you guys my proposal regarding implementing the desk time requirement in customer service call center at Excelis Blue Cross Blue Shield. And you can follow along with my slides on the screen. I'm going to start with just a quick introduction regarding customer service. Most companies will say that customer service is the face of the company. For Excelis, when members, providers, brokers, groups, when they call in regarding their various types of inquiries, they deal directly with customer service. And customer service job is to keep them happy, whatever they need to do to keep them happy. And a lot of that work is done off of the phones. It's not something that can be done all the time directly on the phone. And the point of this proposal is that we don't necessarily get all the time off the phone to complete those inquiries. So I'm going to examine with you guys the current policy that we have in place for desk time and the recommendations that I have on changing it and updating it. A little bit of background about how the customer service works at Excelis is it's a call center environment, and it goes open from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And the employees, they receive many types of calls, claim inquiries, benefit inquiries, appeals, all sorts of questions from all different types of people. And with each inquiry comes work behind the scenes that they have to do, whether they have to adjust a claim, file an appeal, call a member or provider back. And that sort of work is what we call is done on desk time, not done on the phone. And our current policy right now with desk time is that there is no policy. There's no set guideline in place that guarantees each employee an amount of desk time, because management's major focus right now is call volume. How many calls are in the queue, how long it takes to answer them, how long they're waiting. So our desk time, it really depends on the call volume. It can change up to the hour or up to the minute that we're supposed to get it. If it's the call volume's high, we don't get our desk time. There's no guarantee or set policy in place at the moment. And the problem with that is that customer service is so much more than answering the phone. With every call comes what we call inventory, which is the open item of the call, and that inventory is tracked until it can be completely closed out and resolved. It's tracked on an inventory report. So if you aren't getting desk time, your inventory is continually increasing or remaining aged. And when inventory isn't worked, it provokes providers and members to call back, questioning status or what's going on with my inquiry. They talk to a different person, they just get more frustrated. So the more callbacks that is provoked and the more increased call volume, our members and providers become less and less patient with us. So in this proposal, I discuss the lack of desk time given to the employees, and then I'm going to explain the advantages of implementing a stable desk time requirement, and then ultimately the solution that I have for increasing desk time in our environment as well as managing call volume effectively. One of the advantages in increasing desk time and having a stable requirement is an increase in positive attitudes and customer service skills within our employees. We actually took a survey on November 13th, and we interviewed 24 random employees at the job, and all of them had the same outcome, that if they were to have a guaranteed desk time allotted amount of time during the day, it would give them a chance to take a different route, do a different task, take a breather, feel more refreshed when they jump back on the phones. Being on the phones for 8 hours a day can be extremely stressful without some sort of change of scenery or work. Another advantage is that there's an increase in satisfaction among our members and providers as their inquiries are being completed quicker. The more desk time we get, the quicker we complete their work, and in the end, they're more pleased by that. As inquiries are coming in, we should be closing, previous inquiries at the same time. And that kind of touches on the inventory numbers decreasing rapidly. If we're given time to work our inquiries and we're able to manage our inventory numbers at the same time, when we're not given desk time, our numbers continually increase. They just kind of pile on top of each other, and the older ones are left just getting older. Another advantage is there's a decrease in repeat calls as inventory is being resolved before members and providers call again. With our system, we have our calls recorded and everything's documented. So we can see how many times the provider has called on a particular issue, how many times a member has called in a week. And when we're giving desk time to work those issues, we're preventing them from having to call back. And we're been able to see that the repeat calls for members have decreased. Maybe they only have to call once or twice instead of 3, 4, 5, 6 times. And then another advantage is job satisfaction and enjoyment return. When an employee is given an awarded amount of time to work on other issues, they start just enjoying the job a little bit more. They're not as stressed out, and they strive more to be a better employee. Part of my solution to this is that each employee gets a mandated desk time of 1 hour, 3 days a week. Right now, our desk time is 30 minutes, and that's not really enough time to complete a good amount of inquiries. An hour is a good amount of time, and just 3 days a week instead of every day remains our focus on answering the phones. Another part of the solution is if an employee is late for their desk time due to the length of a previous phone call, they can start their hour once they leave the phone call. A lot of the times our phone calls will run into our allotted time, and then we only are left with 12 minutes or 5 minutes, which seems a little unfair. So whenever the phone call ends, then that's when your hour starts if you run into your time. Management should still be in charge of creating the schedules so that they don't interfere with breaks or lunches. They can do a side-by-side comparison of the employees and find when the hour would best fit for each rep. And another part of the solution is to make sure that desk time is being used wisely. Each employee must provide a report to the management at the end of the week. That way management can look at what's been done, they can follow up on it, and determine if the representative is making good use of their time. If they're misusing the privilege of desk time, they can take that away, but that way there's still some sort of enforcement, because with every good idea, there are chances of people abusing it. So what I did is I chose 7 employees at random to be part of a trial run, and I scheduled each employee to have 1 hour desk time 3 days a week, and I scheduled each employee the same hour throughout the week, but everyone's hour and days are different. Here's kind of an example of the schedule. And I'm suggesting that we trial run this for about 6 weeks. After the 6 weeks, we can evaluate the numbers, the amount of inventory. We can tweak things if we want, but after the 6 weeks, we'll be able to see the positive results that I discussed and then make any final decisions from there. One thing with proposals that companies often think of is it can affect the budget, do I have to pay money? The good thing about this proposal is there's no budget to consider. There's no long-lasting financial impact because we're already utilizing everything that we have, just at a greater capacity. So to kind of conclude it, I'm just convinced that implementing a strict schedule that allows desk time for each employee will provide a good balance between answering the phones and completing the work outside that needs to be done in a timely fashion. And if it is approved, we'll start the trial run on Monday, December 23rd, and then end it on Friday, January 31st. Does anybody have any questions?
Diane, it was great, very informative. Mm-hmm. I do have one question, though, and really good job. I mean that. You mentioned no budget impacts, but if you have more time off the phones, do you think, to keep your call metrics up, at par where they are, will you need to hire more to compensate, or do you think that you'll make it up on the repeat calls not coming in?
I think we'll make it up on the repeat calls coming in, but that's part of the trial run, is to kind of see if we would need to make a few more hires or if we can manage it with what we have now. It's a very good question. That's probably a portion I will look more into.
Great answer. Thank you.